Hey, this is Chuck Suter from constitutionalwar.org, and I'm here with Fergus Hodgson from thestatelessman.com. Fergus, you're going to be on Dr. Mike Beitler's show here on Thursday. What will you be talking about, and what is the objective of your website and your blog?
Yeah, my radio show and blog is promoting liberty beyond borders. So the pursuit of the life you want, your freedom, through personal initiative, particularly migration, rather than waiting for political changes. So we're saying we want to find freedom. How can we take action in our own lives? And on the Mike Beitler's show, which is called Free Markets, at 10 a.m. on Thursdays, I'm going to be discussing what has been a very dramatic decline of freedom in the United States over the past 10 years, falling in the rankings behind many other countries, and giving raising plenty of concern about how we can find freedom in our lives and whether we should be migrating to other countries which are freer. I happen to have grown up in New Zealand, therefore I feel well qualified to speak about the prospect of going to other countries such as New Zealand or Canada, which rank higher in terms of economic freedom, which is embarrassing for people here in the United States.
Oh, it is absolutely embarrassing, especially when we once led the world. How do you suppose that America, you know, obviously being from New Zealand, you might not want us to be first, but how do we become second, you know?
Actually, basically all you have to do is reverse the policies that have gone into place over the last 10 years. So many, I mean, you have obviously violations of your rule of law, the Patriot Act, you have government bailouts, you have government ownership of companies, you have impediments to trade, you have more onerous travel policies which make it harder for us to commute or travel.
Visas.
Yeah, it's very difficult. So government spending has exploded. There are so many ways you could turn this around, but the question is not really whether the question is not the policies. That's easy. I can tell you all the policies. The question is really whether it's going to happen or whether the will is there politically, and that's my concern. That unfortunately I don't see that, and you know this as well as I do, or better. You're very familiar with the U.S. situation, so we're fighting for it, or we promote economic freedom all the time, but we can't necessarily hold our breath. It's a long-term process we're dealing with.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a fight every day, and if you're not involved in it, then, you know, actually you are part of the problem. How do you see the young people, and obviously the Ron Paul movement has been very active in this. How do you see, you know, people in the States getting involved in this, as well as people all over the world? I mean, I truly don't think that just we're in a global market now, correct?
Yes.
And if we're in a global market, can one country do it by themselves and just be isolated from everyone else as they delve into socialism? We had Lars Christensen here today, which is why you were here.
Right,
maybe you can speak to that a little bit as well.
That's a good point. Actually, I think these days, because we are an open market, and obviously being in favor of economic liberty, that just plays right into it. We believe in free trade, so in my view, that just makes it even better. That the rewards from being a free marketplace mean that you have even more opportunities to attract professionals, to wealthy people, investors. So I think given an open market, the gains from economic liberty are even greater because you have so many more trading partners. In terms of the lesson tonight from Denmark, basically it was a very dire warning that if we continue down the road of collectivist or socialist, centrally planned policies, ones of redistribution, it's a very hard road to go back or to reverse, because once you have half of the population or even more dependent on government wages or handouts or whatever it may be, you've got a majority of people who have got a vested interest in maintaining an enormous bureaucratic state, and that's the situation you have in Denmark. And he says it's just, like I said, it's very difficult to turn around, so we should heed that warning and not go there. In terms of the liberty movement, it gives me some hope. It does. You know, sometimes I get a little bit down about future prospects for freedom and how it seems like government is growing all the time. But I am excited by technological changes and ideas, new ideas coming forward. So obviously we have an explosion of online media outlets which give us much more accurate and faster information. We also have an explosion of kind of like different ideas which can sort of bring arbitrage or competition between nations. We have seasteading, we've got the special development regions in Honduras, we have other special zones, we've got some trade agreements which are relatively helping. We have people more able to form online identities and trade between different countries and conceal themselves. So there are lots of technological advances which I think are helping us to work back against totalitarianism or tyranny.
Absolutely, and before we go, I maybe have a question or two, but I just want to make sure I do not forget.
Yes.
How do people follow you, man?
Right, the best way to follow me is through the Facebook page, which is The Stateless Man on Facebook. And if you just go to thestatelessman.com, you can just like the Facebook page right there. I also have an email newsletter, but that's going to be starting up at the end of the month, which will be weekly updates. So at thestatelessman.com, I'll be glad to have more listeners and followers. Absolutely, man.
It's excellent. And one final question that I want to know. What is the plans for the future? What is it that you can do, we can do together to push forth this free market agenda that has been stifled, has been held back through Europe, is moving into the States now, as we heard Mr. Christensen talk about today. What is it that we can do moving forward to push these things back?
Right. The key lesson I would say is that to focus on your own actions and not necessarily trying to persuade or control others. We can make ourselves a lot freer just through our own actions. That is, be it homeschooling or migration, or gardening at home, or whatever. I think that is the key point, that we're believers in liberty. That means we believe in tolerance and accepting other people's actions, and our own actions speak much more loudly than our words.
Absolutely. Self-determination and self-independence. It's been a pleasure, my friend.
Oh, likewise.
And I hope everybody checks this out. This is
constitutionalwar.org.